In the cover, it's found in the cover. Bhagavad Gita as IT is. Okay, so what we've been doing the last few programs that I just came from Trinidad and Guyana. We always start with facial yoga. Okay, here it is. Okay, so everybody sit nice and straight with your back, neck, and head erect in a straight line and look totally miserable. You just got hit by a truck. Okay, look totally horrible. Okay, we're going to change that look before your very eyes. You'll see it, you'll experience it. So what you do is you raise your arms and raise them way above the head. Okay, right above the head. Okay, palms together, align the thumbs and all the fingers together. Now what you do, slowly lower the hands and bring the thumbs up to the forehead, touching the forehead. Okay? Now, with this special kind of kundalini, we're going to take these thumbs and we're going to slide down as if at a ski slope them off the nose and land the thumbs onto the lips. Okay? Now what you do is fan out the two hands like this. Now what you do is run along the lips in an upward sweep like this, and you end up with a smile. That's called facial yoga. Okay. Now, okay. So we're just going to choose a verse from Bhagavad Gita, and then after that we'll do the ceremony. Okay? And the way we're going to have to do it is, we're going to give you a name, and then we'll have these. Might have to be after the ceremony. I need some time to channel these. Okay? So it's slightly different order. Okay, here we have a verse from the Gita. It's very apropos. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna Uvacha. Nashto moha smritir labdha. Nashto moha smritir labdha. Vat prasadam mayachyuta. Vat prasadam mayachyuta. Stitosmi kata sandeha. Stitosmi kata sandeha. Karishe vachanam tava. Karishe vachanam tava. Okay, there's a meaning to all of this. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions." Okay, and here's the purport by Srila Prabhupada, which I might choose to charade out a little bit if you're interested in that. Okay?
Right.
We should just sort of stand here. Okay, the constitutional, everybody's ready?
Yes.
Constitutional position of a living entity, represented by Arjuna, is that he has to act according to the
Ground. Floor.
Foundation.
or the courtroom,
Order.
according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature. But in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes the liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusory Maya or the Supreme. If he serves the Supreme, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. Very good. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires. Yet, he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called Illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is,
Bang.
it's not, but overcome. And he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya to trap the living entity is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. All right, he is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand
Krishna.
There it is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and agree to act according to his
Order.
good. And it does go on. Thank you very much for listening. And now we'll explain that a little bit. The reason why I chose this verse to speak on, it is at the tail end of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. And it's a very kind of like, the message is very forward moving. It is very optimistic, and it is Arjuna who's making a firm stand. Okay, here's where I was at. I was in illusion, now I'm stepping forward. I'm going to break some of this illusion. I'm moving ahead, and I'm going to free myself from material entanglements. So everybody in this world has their hang-ups. Everybody's got their shortcomings. We've all got some bad habits. Some people call it dirty laundry. Let's not hang it on the line, okay? That's there. And nobody's here to condemn anybody for their shortcomings. We're not going to go there. We're not going to be judgmental. We're just, okay, you are where you are, and perhaps you don't want to be where you are. You would like to make some improvement. You'd like to progress. You'd like to advance. Usually when people use this term, advance or progress, it's in terms of, how well I'm doing on the corporate ladder, am I climbing? Or it may have something to do with your bank balance, that we're doing very good in that department. And, or position, but very rarely do people think of these terms like advancement or progress in terms of, well, how am I doing as a human being? We can look at chapter 16 of this book, Bhagavad Gita. We look at verse 1 to 4, and look at some of the beautiful attributes of what makes a divine human being. And these are some things that we need to really dwell on. There's 26 qualities listed there. And they are very divine, something to work towards. And everybody in this human form of life will come to some admission. I've got demons inside, I have to address them. I really have to sit down and talk with them, sit them on a nice couch and say, listen guys, for so long, many lifetimes, you guys have been running my program here. And now we're going to turn the table around, and I'm going to be in charge, okay? You can hear from the little demons like Mr. Lust, Mr. Anger, Mr. Greed, that there's going to be some grumbling. But, in the end, they will like it. They will like the program of being led on a more divine path than, say, the more selfish path. So we do live in a world which is pretty selfish, and, we are, in our tradition, one of the principles that we're going to talk about, we don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. And the worst fish to eat is shellfish. It's not part of our diet. But we are, and we take this habit from the past, from past lives. It's a carryover from before. And we inherit these things. There's not much you can do about it, except for, well, have a frank talk with these little things and say, yeah, well, we're going to do things a little different now. So our June had what we call the demon of doubt. And with this verse, he's making a strong confirmation. I'm finished with it. I'm done with it. Give me a phone. Yeah. Okay. I'm firm and free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So Prabhupada's theme in this purport seems to be that where things are different now, I'm developing a servitor attitude. The idea is that, what is it that I can do for you, as opposed to what is it that people can do for me. So those of us who are raised in the 60s, or is anybody in that category here, 60s? Don't make me feel old. Please. Okay. We all heard from John F. Kennedy, one of the favorite, more popular presidents of the United States. He said, ask not, I to Boston, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Did I say that pretty good? Okay? And that's part of his famous speech, famous line. So we're just taking that a little different, in a different context. That's not what the world can do for you, but what you can do for the world. It's flipping it around. And those people who are in that mode of serving others, serving the world, they tend to be happier, holier, healthier, more wholesome because their outlook is wholesome. Not making so many demands, but rather being put in a position where, let me do something. Our whole, spiritual life revolves around this mantra called the Maha Mantra. And in it we're saying, oh Krishna, you who are all attractive, please allow me to blissfully, Rama, engage in service to you. Hare refers to service. What is it that I can do for you? Like that. It's such a nice gesture. It sounds so good. It's such a feel-good expression. What is it that I can do for you? And not with the notion of slavery attached, but rather the notion of, let me do something nice for you. Prabhupada always used that word, nice. Like these days, people use the word like a lot, right? You ever noticed in one sentence, like, you get the word like gets squeezed in. A few years ago when I was in India, we formed a group of performing artists. We call it Mandala. And so I was in a room full of creative type people, and they were mostly younger people. And I had my little sheet of paper out there, and I was marking, stroking every time someone said like. And I had the page full after 20 minutes. So people like to say like. It's a 4-letter word, but Prabhupada didn't use like so much. He used the word nice. Okay? N-I-C-E. Doing things nice or nicely. And approaching life in a nice way, which means that I volunteer to do something for you. And so that's what's behind the Maha Mantra. My willingness to offer myself, my resources, my skills, my intelligence, my abilities, whatever I have. Going back to the 60s again. Has anybody been a fan of Bob Dylan? Any Bob Dylan fans here? Okay, great. You're doing a little better this time. But if you're a fan, yeah, okay, sure. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So he went through a period. Of course, he was born in the Jewish tradition. Then he went through a Jesus period, and in that period, he was talking about in his lyrics. He was talking about everyone has to be a servant to someone, whether you like it or not. Even if you don't believe in a higher power. But you ultimately have to serve yourself, your senses. They're demanding. I'm hungry, You know, so you go and make the others go to the refrigerator. You do whatever it takes to serve yourself, isn't it? And whenever there are urges there that come from the physical body, you do whatever you can to try to serve yourself. So service is a common denominator for everybody. And when we can direct our services more to those entities outside our own existence, we tend to benefit from that. So I like this verse very much because Arjuna is saying, "Oh, my dear Krishna," and please, I just want to let you know, he's saying, "Oh, infallible one," or infallible. We say infallible. To make it a little more clear, infallible. Krishna does not fall. You know? Even if he was on the ice, you know, like our ice that's all around us right now, if he fell, it wouldn't be like our experience of falling. And by the way, when I first joined, when I first started chanting Hare Krishna, I was a fine arts student, and I decided at that point, my whole spirituality is synchronized with walking. I decided I'm not going to take that crazy city bus and waste my money. I'm going to walk to college, okay? So I used to superimpose on the snow and the ice. Krishna was with me. He was bare-chested, he was still blue, and I understood that, well, of course, everyone, if you're white, you turn blue if you get cold, isn't it? But I understood, but by hearing about the qualities of Krishna, he's of a transcendent nature, and he has this blueness, sky blueness to his complexion, to his hue. And I would imagine, I was walking and I was chanting, and I used to imagine him next to me, walking and caring nothing about the cold, whether the snow was coming, the wind was blowing. And that was the way I saw Krishna, and that he's right there, right with me, and I believe that he was right there. So, but he cannot fall. Arjuna is saying that my illusion is now gone. It had been there, that he was calculating everything in a very mundane way. And the bottom line of that is to think, I am this body. But this is the ultimate illusion, to say, I am this body. I am not this body. We can, for some of you folks are relatively new here, just if you could think about that for a bit. I am not this body, but I'm the spirit within the body. I'm the person in the body. The body is a machine, you know, made of the material energy, and but I'm not material. I transcend materialism. I transcend mundaneness. And so when we are in illusion, it means that we think we are the body, we're God, we can do all these amazing things, and yet when it comes to the call of nature, you just have to go to the bathroom. And sometimes you're in it, important, just let it go. Sorry, I'll see you a little later on. And so that is God, you know, yeah, sure. He also says here, I regained my memory. So something was lost. His connection to the Absolute. And he was caught up in mundane thinking. Now he says, but I'm gone, that's gone. By your mercy, it's now gone. I am firm. I can stand strong, because in the beginning of the Gita, in the first chapter, we see Arjuna was standing there at his famous Gandiva bow, which was awarded to him by Agni. Okay, right. And that Gandiva bow was something he couldn't hold in his hand. He put it down due to miserly weakness, as he put it. And he basically was collapsing. He was a broken man. He was a broken man. But that has changed after Krishna gave him a few lessons. He said, I can now stand here firm and free from doubt. And I'm prepared to do the necessary, to do what needs to be done. We have a magic word in our culture, and it's called dharma. That means you execute obligation and duty. The first time I walked across Canada, I was at Prescott. Everybody knows that town? In Prescott, they were just twinning the highway, Highway 64, did I get it right? Yep. Who drives here? Come on, help me. Prescott, and I was the first person to take advantage of the highway. It hadn't yet been paved. So I was walking on that highway. I thought, yahoo, okay. But I was at a particular point. One morning I was walking towards Ottawa, and I left Highway 2. I made a turn. I made a left-hand turn to go on 64 at Prescott. And it was early in the morning, I think it was Monday, and a lady pulled over and said, "Would you like a ride?" And I said, "Well, I'm not taking any rides. I'm walking across Canada." And she then said, "Oh, you're walking across Canada. What for?" And I said, "I'm walking across Canada for the sake of Dharma." "What's that?" I said, "Well, Dharma means getting to the ultimate foundation of the self. It means to getting down to the basics. It means to doing what we ought to do, or what we're supposed to do." So those words rang true for her, and she just she went and she grabbed my hand. She grabbed my hand, and she held on to it, and she would let go. And she just kind of put her head down as if in a kind of meditation or prayerful mood. And there's traffic whizzing by. Everybody's going to work. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I didn't want to disturb her meditation at all. I just wanted her to have her time. I thought it was a very important moment for her, so I didn't want to disturb that. So finally she let go. I said, "Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you today." So it was a great moment. And I guess she learned what the word dharma means. It can be translated many different ways. Prabhupada translated this duty, doing what needs to be done, what ought to be done, what you know needs to be done. And we can look at the Bhagavad Gita, and it says it is a book of psychology, and we can understand that everyone has a little bit of a different psychophysical, different, let's say, uniqueness. There's about 4 different categories for 4 different people types that are addressed in the Bhagavad Gita. We all fit into one of these categories. And we all have a duty to perform, our dharma to execute, based on our psycho-physical nature. So people can explore that a little bit. One really nice thing about the Bhagavad Gita, which does go beyond computers, it's because I mentioned the book of psychology. You study the 3 energies. I find it so intriguing when you look at chapter 16, talks about 2 energies, divine, demonic nature. It gets a little bit more interesting when we talk about chapter, various chapters that discuss the 3 energies. The voice can just be a little quieter, okay? Just a little softer, okay? We got the 3 energies are right here, okay? Right here. One of them, okay, here's what they are. Sattva gun. Sattva gun in the mode of goodness, okay? I think this boy in the front, he's demonstrating goodness. He's smiling, he's happy, he's content. His sister behind him, I think she's demonstrating a lot of Sattva gun. And this Prabhu here, he's demonstrating a lot of Rajagun right now. A lot of passion. He's just kind of restless, kind of all over the place. But now because we're giving them full attention, I think that something else is happening here. but definitely for sure, Tamagun is not there. That's the 3rd energy, and that is considered to be like darkness, and like lethargy, and just very almost self-destructive as well. Different ways to describe. Check it out. It's there in the Gita. So I always found that the Gita was intriguing because you want to understand more about yourself. You look at these particular texts in the Gita, which describe the three energies, and you can identify with some of these energies and perhaps analyze and assess which one is controlling me the most. And the second question would be, which one is the one that I want to be controlled the most, or to be most influenced by? So that's why it's a fantastic text. This book, this Bhagavad Gita, which does mention okay, so it's great that Arjuna is finally saying that I'm prepared to do the necessary, and that is dharma. So the word pops up in the Gita several times. Sarva dharman varijyaja. Krishna is saying with this phrase, give up all duties or obligations and just surrender. Have you ever heard that term, let go, let God? You ever heard that term? Let go, let God. That means that whatever you think is dutiful, just more or less dismiss it. Just follow the will of the Supreme, the Divine, and in order to be able to accomplish that, we have to become a transparent kind of a being. We have to be transparent by a medium person. Not so easy. Easier said than done. But we definitely have to address the three energies, not these kids necessarily. When we talk about the three modes of material nature and look at them in depth and identify with them. That's great. Today's day was, I think, if we look at Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, I'll ask you the question. Was it a very sattvic day? Was it kind of clear? I guess that's the way to describe it. Was it hazy? Was it crazy? Was it a little bit like that? Or was it, was there a lot of passion to it? I don't think so. It was very much Sattvagun. It wasn't, a little bit on the cold side, but it was shining, it was bright, the air was clear. Wouldn't you agree? It was very sattvic. And those of us coming from Toronto felt, wow, what a nice sattvic day. I'm glad it's happening. Something good must be happening at the end of our drive. Okay, so anyways, it's a good verse to reflect on the left. Look at this one, I'll help you out, devotees. It's chapter 18 and it's text 72 and 73, sorry.
So we need to do
Think about that. So now we just want to talk a little bit about this initiation that everybody's been hearing about. Initiation is something that some of you have come forward to do. It means a commitment, and to make commitments is always a good thing. It's good to make vows, and it's good to make promises. When you make vows for a good cause, you become very strong. When you read the Mahabharata, which is all about intrigue, warfare, romance, and a lot of devotion, especially, and commitment and loyalty. You hear about all these Kshatriyas, like warriors, who made all these strong vows and commitments. And they all benefited from making these vows and commitments. So it's what we want. Everybody likes to be heroic, and it comes from making commitments and with a capital C. So when one takes initiation in vows and Krishna consciousness, it's a little quieter there, guys. A little quieter. Okay. After a while, I'll make a lot of noise. Louder than you can, okay? But for now, is that okay? Great. Wait to respond. So, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, brought something very nice to the world. He took something that he inherited, that he was born into, and he passed it on. This great gift of what we call bhakti, devotion. He passed it on to a part of the world that wasn't so familiar with it. The word bhakti was not known. it would only be short form for buck teeth. Once I had a major accident. I was in the kitchen in Toronto on 187, and I cut my finger, and I was bleeding like anything, and that index finger, I could, like a cap, I could lift it like this, and with that, I fainted, and I went head first onto the concrete floor, and I had got convulsions. Harney came down the stairs, and she saw me all out of control. There was blood everywhere, and I hit my 2 teeth. These are not my original teeth, they're implants. And so it cost $500 in those days. It's 1974, which today would translate as, I'd say probably 10,000. So that was a lot of money for us paupers who were living in the ashram on 187 Gerard Street, which was the, what would you call it, that part of town, the wino section. And, so I remember the temple president came back from a trip from India, and all the buddies came back, and it was decided that I would have to get my teeth inked. I can't run around without 2 front teeth. I wouldn't be able to speak properly. And so there was a slight resentment I felt, a little bit of lack of love for the temple president, and they teased me so much. Oh, there's Buck Teeth Mar. So anyways, for short, if you try to remember what is the yoga that we follow, just think about Buck Teeth. Just cut out the TH at the end. So it's Bhakti. Bhakti means devotion. And Prabhupada taught this devotion to a lot of young people that came to his shelter. And the techniques that are inculcated in that, which is mainly chanting. It's also some dancing, it's having good food, talking about flow, because it's a big party, okay? And there's also some hard work involved, of various sorts and kinds. And, but in one sense, it's what people have been doing for a long time. But what's different is that the direction is going towards Krishna. It's not going towards me, my person. But it's going towards Krishna. And because I, on each and every one of is part and parcel of Krishna, I benefit. It's just like saying, we are doing something that's very community-oriented tonight, right? And because I'm part of that community, I benefit from it. But if I think I'm first, before the community, then I am alienating myself from the world, and I will die a lonely person. Yeah, I will die from depression probably. And we think more in terms of what's good for all of us together when we're community driven. I, the individual, who am part and parcel of the community, I also become a fringe beneficiary of whatever we're putting out. So Prabhupada started this thing. He started like a spiritual family centered around Krishna. And lo and behold, the Beatles caught hold of that, especially George Harrison. And their lyrics started to change. And the whole world sort of picked up on, this kind of change. And some people who are more serious understood what is bhakti. So by Prabhupada's mercy, we have this way of life, and it's beautiful. I get to do all the things that I ever wanted to do in my life, such as traveling and walking long distances, and myself and Mandala did have some experiences together, and especially in America, which is a little different from Canada. I'm not going to get too patriotic right now, but there is a difference, and if you want, I'm going to meet you in a corner and we'll talk about the difference in the cultures. But we had some fun times there. I remember when you got caught speeding, and it was in the nighttime. We were in Omaha, Nebraska, and Omaha was a very special place to us because, like I explained to a reporter at the newspaper, they said, you know, your city, it's got a very special name. It's got two Sanskrit words connected, Om and Maha. And this lady, this journalist, she said, oh yeah, I know, because I have a lot of friends that are yoga teachers. She told me it's a real strong, powerful spiritual word. So I'm happy to give it an Omaha. Okay, so when we were in Omaha, it was so hot and sticky. We couldn't handle walking in the day. And we had to walk in the night. We started walking 9:30 at night and taking it till about 2:30 in the morning. You know, I remember you said nodding out at me a few times. It's night, of course. It's the only time to walk. It was just so unbearable. You just sweat to pieces, and you just like, you can get cancer. And, you know, we just had to make that decision. We did it for a few times. And then we were going to our destination point, and then the police officer came, and then he said, "Oh, so we got you speeding." Do you remember how much you went over speeding?
It's like a 90 and a 60, but in miles per hour, so it's like 50 kilometers over.
Okay, so you were a bad boy. Anyway, so the officer came and he was kind of looking and you know, he was getting your particulars. I think he was going to give you a major ticket, right? So
He wrote this up.
yeah, he wrote us off, right? And he said, oh, he looked at me and said, oh, are you the walking monk? I said, well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. Okay, well, listen, I'll just give you a warning this time. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, he said I have a $250 ticket, but you know, since
Yeah, right. Isn't that? Yay, right on. And there was another time, when we were walking through the States, there was also some racial tension going on. And there was this one guy who a police officer shot him. He was just going for his ID, right? So when he was doing that, the police officer shot him, and his girlfriend was sitting next to him, and this was like big news all over. So we were suspect in this Midwest of America, and we I think it was it Nebraska? I think it was Nebraska, and one of those places. And we were on a dirt road, and you were parked up waiting for me to get there with that one purple, and you were suspect. You know, because you were parked there for a long time, and you had, you know, what was it, Ohio license plates, and there was a nice lady from Ohio, from Cleveland, lent us her vehicle, and so then, and because I was walking, and I'm wearing the color of prisoners, so I got called on every day there was some police coming to check us out. So, but this guy went. Somebody called, you were parked near some house on top of the hill, on the road, and then, so the officer came, he was behind you, and he was waiting, he didn't come out of the vehicle first, right? For the longest time, right? And then he came out, finally, and then you understood, well, you'll have to get your license. So you turned around to get your license, and this off, don't you make any moves! And just like that. Don't make any moves! You like that, right? Just overreacting, totally overreacting. So after that, when all these occurrences happen, you have a good time, you laugh it off, and you know, it was fun. And we had people helping us who were also interesting, very strange. We had unique characters along the way, so we had a lot of fun together. And we saw the country, the beautiful country of America. It was gorgeous. And you were with us at the tail end too. So anyways, to tell people about Bhakti, that's why we were out there walking in America. And I like what Prabhupada said. One journalist asked him, why have we come here? Not challenging, but tell us what is your mission? He said, I've come here, this is one of the most profound things ever. Think about it. I've come here to tell you what you have forgotten. I've come here to tell you what you have forgotten. So in other words, it's innate, it's in us. Everything that we're talking about, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit, I'm small, but I'm great at the same time. Small in size, dimension-wise, but great once I take up the service attitude. All those kind of things, we know these things, but we've forgotten because we're so entrenched in our capitalism and our materialism, right? So Prabhupada said that very important thing. And that I must say, I'll repeat one more thing and we'll move along. When I got to Butler, Pennsylvania, where Prabhupada spent 1 month, the Butler newspaper came over and I was standing right in front of the building where Prabhupada spent a month. What was the old YMCA building? And the newspaper guy comes around and he said, so what are you doing? And I said, I'm walking to promote spirituality. And but I'd like to quote my guru. And he said, sure, what's that? I'll write it down. And he said that if Americans paid more attention to their spirituality, they would be happier. You know? So I had a chance to say that again 50 years later from in the same month in September. Yes, great. So what else? Prabhupada established this wonderful organization called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's an institution that it's like a house where people can feel happy, and it is a safe place. And once you have, just like a house, there will always be some leaks in the house and the roof. And any homeowners here? Yeah. Okay, you know what it's all about, right? You know, people next door making a little bit too much noise, you know. And, the toilet doesn't work, and plumbing needs to be taken care of, and, there's, the cockroaches are coming in from the neighbors next door, and we've got to, okay, heaven forbid, right? All these kind of problems are there, but, so you immediately try to fix the situation. So, just like any institution, any house, it's not going to be perfect, and we're not perfect. None of us are perfect, but you try to work towards perfection, and that's why we're getting initiated. Towards perfection. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. I want to turn back.
Get purified.
All right, good. So thank you very much. So I have to chant these beads. I didn't have a chance before this, so I think what we can do is go for the ceremony, and then I'll offer the beads after. Okay, after I have a chance to go. Is everybody okay with that? Do you want to get your blessings? Should we put it to a vote, or? I think we're doing all right.
So you are going to ask him for negative things?
Yeah, I'll do that after.
Okay.
You can do all this fancy stuff first, okay? We're just doing it a little bit in reverse because I need a little time. So I just wanted to say that when somebody gets initiated into the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, you're taking Prabhupada as your principal guru. I'm just Prabhupada's helper. So that's the idea. Our movement will be very strong if we can see it that way. That Prabhupada's our primary, mentor, cheerleader, guide, coach, etc., psychiatrist. He's all those things for us, and we're helping him, we're assisting him. Prabhupada's known as the Sanstapakacharya for the society. That means that he's the founder acharya. That puts him at the head of this institution called Islam, and therefore we work with him, under him, and by him. Okay? And we're just assisting. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave Okay? Keep it very short. Keep it very short, because we're ready. I talked too long. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to give you the hand release in a second. And I applaud the 300 reasonably pretty good in terms of behavior. You want this microphone so you can see the instructions?
Yeah. First I have to while chanting mantra.
After? You want it now? Okay. So in the meantime, if you peruse want to have, is it okay for them to stop?
Yeah, sure.
Soft. Okay? And everyone can participate. If anybody needs the muncher card, do you have any muncher cards? Okay, otherwise. You sure you can pass these in? Anybody who wants this? Okay, so then Nelly, do you want to take the lead or? Or Amala, oh, she's great. Let's hear from Amala.
Shri Vishnu Devata Dasya Shamate Om Adhikate Om Purushaha Idam Namaskara Om Pradamati Vishnu Rishi Gayatri Samasi Vishnu Devata Bhakta Shama Mahabhakte Homa Jagai Om Swaha कपिलाय स्वाहा ओम जमो भगवताय स्वाहा ओम भीमो देवाय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा हरे देवाय स्वाहा कृष्णा हरे देवाय स्वाहा हरे राम ओम प्रहलादाय स्वाहा ओम भीमाय स्वाहा ओम बलिराजाय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे स्वाहा ओम स्वाहा ओम अमृताय स्वाहा ओम व्यासदेवाय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे युधिष्ठिराय स्वाहा ओम भीमाय स्वाहा ओम अर्जुनाय स्वाहा ओम नकुलाय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम स्वाहा राम राम हरे स्वाहा ओम श्री नित्यानंदाय स्वाहा ओम श्री अद्वैताय स्वाहा ओम श्री पंडित गदाधराय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा ओम श्री कृष्णा हरे राम ओम श्री गोपाल भट्टाय स्वाहा ओम श्री दीक्षा गुरवे स्वाहा ओम श्री शिक्षा गुरवे स्वाहा ओम श्री नारदाय स्वाहा हरे कृष्णा रामाय स्वाहा ओम श्री गोपिकाय स्वाहा ओम अंतराक्षय स्वाहा ओम पुरुषोत्तमाय स्वाहा ओम पद्माय स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी स्वाहा ओम
And we're going to ask him to, if you can, yeah, we'll take care of that. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the helpers. Feeding fire. It's good to be committed to something. That's a worthy cause. Yeah. Thank you very much for doing that. And so now at this point, I think we got to check Prabhupada here. I think that is a room to put by the deities. Yeah. So if you can offer pranams to Prabhupada, say the two pranams, the two verses. And then you can offer it.
Yeah. And to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra every day.
Right.
As well as try to read minimum 8 pages of Srila Prabhupada.
And what else?
And to serve Prabhupada and New Maharaj and all the devotees.
I'm not ready to do this. I would like to add this for some reason. No gossip. No gossip. They say that it's easier to dam a river than to stop gossip. But anyways, it's a very harmful thing. So we're going to consider these. We have to think about your name. Now, it is very hard to just come up with a name better than what you already have. And I don't want to offend your parents. No, so I just wanted to keep that one part of the name, Mandala. And so, following the footsteps of my godbrothers who do the Diksha and initiations, they take a name from here and a name from there, and they combine them together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the name Mandala Ram. All right, good. Thank you. And now we are encouraged to do the kirtan. We're going to have to do a little kirtan. Everybody can stand up and we can do a kirtan. While that's going on, I'm just going to ask our actors we just have a little time here. So after this, it's a performance in honor of this great event. Thank you, Mandala Ram, for participating. Thank you for your great family members. They're all, we've known you guys forever. you know. And since you're, who was your, was Lakshman? No, I think he was the first person I saw from your client.
Lakshman, yes.
Yeah, in Thunder Bay.
The chart.
Was it the chariot? I think it was
Lakshman,
Lakshman. It was Lakshman. I came to the door, I heard about you, and you were in Thunder Bay, and I walked in the door, and this young guy, you know, with freckles, and he goes, "Somebody!" Always felt welcome with your family. You guys are just great. One of my favorite families on the planet. Maybe the. Oh, it's okay. Thank you so much for stepping forward. Good. So we'll do Kirtan. We'll do a little bit more continue. It can be a little more zestful this time around. And we just have to circumambulate around the flame here. And we'll do that just for 5 minutes, and then we'll reposition ourselves to get ready for the drama. Is that okay?
All right.
Good.